What's up, everybody? This is the Metal Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Allen.
And co-host Jason Jacobs.
And today is our Dirt special. The Motley Crue movie came out last weekend. We were going to record then, but then allergies decided to pull a Doc McGee in the Dirt movie and just punch me the fuck out.
Ouch.
And I didn't feel like recording. So, we're going to do it today, and if we make mistakes, do not hold it against us. We're not movie critics.
By far.
Which I hear that the movie critics are really hating this movie.
Yeah.
The fans are loving it though, that's really all that matters in the end. That's why they made this movie. It was for the fans.
Good thing. Because I'm a fan and I loved it.
I'm a fan as well. I mean, like I said previously in our I think it was our second episode when I said this. Motley Crue is a sentimental band to me because they were the first concert I ever saw. So, I love Motley Crue as well, and I really wish they were still touring. I wish they didn't sign that stupid contract, because I've been craving a Motley Crue show. Anyway,
Yeah, me too. I'd go.
anyways, uh, the people that played the Bad Boys of Rock and Roll is Douglas Booth as Nikki Sixx, and they had two other people to play Nikki at age 8 and age 14. They had, I'm not going to try saying this dude's name because I already know I'm going to butcher it, but you know what? I'm gonna try anyways, even though that I'm sure that you all will probably be holding it against me for forever. I suck at saying names, so I'm gonna try to do this correctly. Eon or something. Again, it's a weird name, and he plays Mick Mars.
Yeah.
And then Colson Baker, which everyone knows as Machine Gun Kelly, he plays Tommy Lee.
It is.
Colson Baker, that's his real name. His stage name is Machine Gun
No,
Kelly.
talking about Mick Mars.
Oh,
Mick Mars.
it's
Would it be Imai?
I have no idea. It's like, are we really trying to figure out this dude's name during recording?
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Guess not. The spelling is Iwan, and then his last name spelling is Rheon.
Yeah.
It's a weird name, but I'm guessing he plays a character in Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And then we have Daniel Weber as Vince Neil. Pete Davidson as Tom Zutad or Zutot. I believe it's supposed to be Zutot. David Costabile. I suck at saying names. I can't stress this enough. He plays Doc McGee, Motley Crue's long-term manager. Levin Rambin as if I can talk, as Charisse Neal, Vince's eventual wife. Catherine Morris as Dion Richards. Deanna, Nikki's mother. Rebecca Graff as Heather Locklear. Avenged Ex-Wife is Tommy, of course. Motley Crue fans already know this. You know what? I'm just gonna say their first names. I think that would be a lot better for me, so I'm not looking like a big idiot.
Fine.
Okay, Tony C as Ozzy Osbourne, Max M as Razzle, Jordan Lane Price as Roxy, Tommy's first fiance, and I can say her name just fine. Christian G as David Lee Roth, lead vocals of Van Halen. Anthony Vincent V as John Corabi, Motley Crue's second lead vocalist after Vince's departure from the band. Cameron R as Skylar Neal, and Iris, and they had 2 actresses to play Skylar at 2 years old. Courtney D as Athena Lee, a musician and Tommy's younger sister. And pretty much they keep going on about, like, you know, Tommy's father who plays Tommy's father, Tommy's mother, etc., etc., etc. So, with that long-winded explanation that took 6 minutes to frickin' explain, let's get into our overthoughts of the movie. I am pleasantly surprised that I liked it as much as I did, considering that the biggest reason why I did not see the Queen movie was that I already knew that there was going to be inaccuracies to what already happened. But I always forget that it's Hollywood. It's a movie. They're gonna take some liberties with the actual history. And
yeah, they got to make it a little more entertaining and flow a little different. Actually.
Well. Here's the thing. In my opinion, Motley Crue's life was already entertaining enough. They didn't really need to fabricate nothing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, they're not called the Bad Boys of Rock and Roll for no reason.
Right.
And the only thing I wish was that I wish they focused more on, like, I guess this is the technical side of me, because I love learning how albums are made. I wish they kind of focused more on what went on into recording to Fast for Love in the movie.
Yeah. It was more about it was because that movie was only an hour and 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
They had to focus on a little of everything.
Yeah, and like, because of that, you know, watching it, I'm starting to see, like, maybe they should have made it a little bit longer.
I think so. There's just a lot of stuff that's taken out, jumps around too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like the movie was going too fast, you know, and I'm like sitting there waiting for this one part, and I'm like, they didn't talk about that.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. I mean, like, I definitely recommend the movie to people, but I would stress that if you have kids, wait until they're in bed to see this movie, because, like I said before, it is raunchy.
Yeah, it definitely is not kid friendly.
No.
Right off the bat. Off the bat.
Not at all. Not
even teenager.
I am not surprised that it was dirty, because, again, this band has been known. I mean, they're called the Bad Boys of Rock and Roll. I mean, and not to mention, in the book, it was pretty much like they lived the sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle.
Yeah.
Especially Nikki.
Oh yeah.
With him, it was the drugs. And
Vince, it seemed like they were showing him more of the sex part of it.
Tommy, they kind of portrayed him more as a hopeless romantic, but there is one we only, I don't approve of this at all, but unfortunately, it is kind of a dark part of Tommy Lee's history. Is that everyone knows that Tommy Lee allegedly hit Pamela Anderson, and they show Tommy hitting a girl, which again, I want to stress this enough. This is part of kind of his history. It's always going to be following him for the rest of his life. And we only got to see something like that once in the movie, but the whole Pamela and Tommy Lee thing, I guess maybe that could be its own movie.
Yeah.
But they definitely skim over that. They didn't really focus much on the John Corabi era either.
No, or Vince Neil's solo career either.
No, which shocked me. But I think to me, I definitely enjoyed, again, these are just only parts that, we wish that were in the movie. Because, again, it's part of the history. And once again, I think my problem is that I'm trying to look at this movie as a documentary, and it's not.
Yeah, it's for entertainment.
Yeah.
Really.
And that's my biggest problem with all these rock and roll movies, is that they're going to take liberties. At least they didn't pull the freaking Doors movie with Val Kilmer, to where they totally did not make Jim Morrison accurate to how he actually was.
Yeah.
They made him this, like all he was about was drinking. And the band members did not approve that movie. But we're getting off subject here. One thing I definitely enjoyed was the part to where it was after when, the one guitar player that was auditioning for them, and he thought that he was in the band, but you could tell that he was an amateur.
Yeah.
Extremely embarrassing so. And as soon as he gets kind of kicked out, and he gets a little bit salty that he's not in the band, and he was replaced by this old man, Tommy Lee asks how old he is, and then Mick Mars replies with probably my favorite line in the movie: "Fuck you, you fucking teenager."
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think to me, the standouts, like all four of them did amazingly, but I think the standouts to me is the dude that played Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
The dude...
with the part running all the way.
Yeah.
The speedo.
Yeah.
The old people come out like, oh shit, what is this?
Who's this crazy asshole?
Right. Pretty much naked.
Yeah, pretty much. If you're freaking wearing a Speedo, you might as well be naked.
Right.
And then of course the dude that plays Mick Mars, because I think he kind of stole the show from me, because he has some very quotable lines, like when he comes out of the hospital, and then Tommy Lee replies saying, like, dude, you're like the Terminator now. And then Mick Mars looks at him and be like, I'll terminate you, drummer.
Yeah, I liked him the best. His character was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And then another part I really liked was when they were figuring out the band names, the band name.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like Tommy asks about the foreskins, and then like because they'll fuck the audience in the face every night, and then like Nikki goes, yeah, but can you see that on the marquee on the form? And then Tommy goes, yeah, you're right, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And then you see like Mick just after they ask Mick about what he has, and he turns around and it's Motley Crue, and then like Nikki adds more to it, and then you hear merry-go-round play. It's like I think it's those scenes right there to where it's all four of them that kind of makes the movie for me.
Yeah.
And then of course, there's the whole first show fight that goes on.
Yeah. Where Vince Neil gets spit on the pants.
Yeah.
That sets it off.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're saying they actually got spit on.
I believe he did. Seeing this movie has made me want to read The Dirt again. Because I definitely forgot some things.
Well, I was watching something today, and they were saying that their first show was actually opening up for Y&T, and it was like 600 people.
Huh. That's weird. The movie made it like they were playing this like the small club with like not that many people there.
I mean, 600 is not a lot of people, but a lot for your first show.
Yeah. So I guess that's something else that they got wrong.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they opened up for Y&T. Then there was 600. It was.
And another scene that I think was funny was the Ozzy scene. The infamous Ozzy showing that he can still one-up a younger band like Motley Crue, who has been known to cause trouble.
Yeah. That stuff was all true.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is that in that scene, once you guys get to it, make sure you're not eating nothing. If you guys don't know the infamous story of what happened, okay, warning, I don't mean to gross anyone out, but obviously I have to do my job to inform the audience of what I'm talking about. The story goes, Ozzy goes down and sniffs up ants. Which, again, it is pretty damn disgusting. But then it gets worse. Ozzy urinates on the pool granite.
The pool side.
Yeah. The pool side. And he goes down and he starts licking up his own urine. Which is really gross. Ugh. And then Nikki does the same thing, but then before he can go down and lick up his own, Ozzy beats him to it and licks up Nikki's.
It winds him up.
Yeah, and which is very gross and disgusting. But it's like, again, it happened because again, this was before Nikki really got into heroin. But this was when Ozzy was at his most fucked up stage. because like I can't remember if Tommy Lee or Nikki Sixx said this, but basically Sharon was trying to make sure that Ozzy did not get into trouble. But when you bring a band like Motley Crue on tour, I imagine Sharon's job got a lot harder.
Right. I'm sure of that. So he was Sharon by then, huh?
Yeah. Sharon started becoming Ozzy's manager, I think, during the Diary of Madman era, I believe.
Yeah.
I gotta check that. I gotta fact check that. But,
No, it's just you believe so.
yeah. Yeah. I believe so. And then another thing they got wrong, but they kind of tell the audience that this didn't happen, is how they met Doc McGee. Because how the movie portrays it is that this dude is causing trouble because he is so drunk that he gets knocked into the mirror. The mirror falls down onto David Lee Roth. And then Doc McGee comes up and punches the dude out clean. Out cold.
Yeah.
And then the dude that plays Mick turns around at the audience and says, "This didn't actually happen. Doc never came to this filthy shithole."
Yeah. Which was true.
Yeah. That was another thing they got wrong. But I know that it's sounding like we're nitpicking this movie a lot. We're not. We're just... They definitely got some stuff wrong, and, you know, like I said, it's our jobs to say what they got wrong.
But I really, really, really enjoyed the movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you can turn off that part of your brain that knows everything about Motley Crue and just watch it as a movie, it is entertaining. It gets to the point quick.
Yeah. Right off the bat.
Let's see here. Oh yeah, another thing they got wrong. Their first large show. It wasn't at... I believe the movie showed that they were at the Forum, I believe.
Yeah, they did.
Their first big show was at the US Festival.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, you guys can find that concert up on YouTube. It's a very amazing Motley Crue show. It is early Crue. Like, early Crue. It was before Shout at the Devil came out.
Yeah.
But they got that wrong. And I can't stress this enough. It's like... You know, this is our first time doing something like this, you guys. So if we're rough, my apologies. We're not professionals. We're two fucking idiots.
Hey, you mean I'm not?
Okay, then I am. I am.
But you know, we're not critics like
no
critics.
No. So you know, we're doing this off the cuff where we're trying to remember shit happening in the movie. I just watched it. I should remember everything that went on. But
I remember. I watched it twice, so
I think like this might have been my fourth time watching it overall.
Oh wow.
I really enjoyed it.
And again, stress, do not let your kids watch it because it is a lot of new.
Oh my lord. It's raunchy. It's from the beginning to the end, it is raunchy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this could probably count as a freaking a freaking B horror movie with how much breast it shows. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I enjoyed it, but another thing they got wrong was the one. Actually, another thing they didn't focus on was Motley Crue's actual first singer, because Vince wasn't the first singer they had.
No.
And I have a article pulled up here to where I can easily do this without. Okay, here we go. The film makes it seem as though Vince Neil was Motley Crue's first vocalist. This is fiction, as another man briefly fronted the group. Odin Peterson, at the time somebody called Odin, was the band's first singer. In the book The Dirt, Confessions of the World's Most Notorious Rock Band, Tommy Lee describes him as a round, dumb fellow. Well, that was mean. He was a amazing singer, but Nicky didn't like him because he didn't sound like Brian Conley from The Sweet. Odin's other problem was that he was very uptight about this pair of ultra clean white gloves he always wore. He was under the impression that the gloves constituted having a look, and we tried not to say anything to the contrary because he was all we had. So,
yeah. And also Mick called him a hippie.
mm-hmm.
So you didn't want a hippie in the band.
Well, I believe the hippie comment was about the other guitar player. I believe here.
Just talking about.
Let me read this here. Okay.
The other guitars wasn't around very long.
No. As the dirt begins in the early days of Motley Crue, there is a scene featuring a borderline and competent guitarist auditioning for the band. He is critically outperformed by Mick Mars. Like I wouldn't just say outperformed. I would say downright overkilled.
Right.
By
if it went the way it did in the movie.
Mm-hmm. By Mick Mars, who was given the job, while Mars did blow his future bandmates away. The events shown in the film is fiction, at least according to Greg Leon, the closest known connection between the scene in which the hapless guitarist is not mentioned by name and reality. Leon was a high regarded guitarist who briefly rehearsed alongside Six and Tommy Lee. Leon had performed with Lee in the group Sweet 619, which the movie does reference.
Yeah.
Because, shitty name, shitty band. That's what Mick Mars said.
Yeah. That's
good. With the drummer later attempting to recruit the guitarist to join the band, which would become Motley Crue. He was great from the very first note we played. Leon recalled of his time jamming with Lee. I drove Tommy to meet Nicky, and they wanted me to join the band before they even had a name. I told them that I wasn't interested and I was going to put a band together, write my own songs, and do what Eric Clapton does or Jimi Hendrix. That was more of my thing and where my heart was. So pretty much, by how they sounded like, was that they wanted him to join the band, but he wasn't interested into doing what they were doing because he was more into Eric Clapton and Hendrix. So,
the
yeah,
metal they're playing.
So So that means technically, if judging going by that article, that means Mick Mars came in with his amping and guitar and Marshall cab, plugged in, and just kicked their asses to the ground with how good he was playing.
Yeah.
And then he got the job.
Yep.
Interesting. Anyways, I do want to just say that if we go over our hour time, that's fine. We have a lot to talk about. Like, a lot to talk about. And if we can't fit it all in this episode, we can just always do, like, a part 2 next weekend. So, yeah. And then, oh yeah, another thing they got wrong was how they fired Doc McGee.
They fired wasn't that the Moscow?
Mm-hmm. Because that whole thing was very unorganized because Motley was reported to be closing the show, but it was Bon Jovi, and they said, and they told all the other acts, including Motley, that no pyro and no full sets. But what happened was Bon Jovi, they had pyro and they had a full set.
Yep.
Which I'm not surprised that they kinda allowed Bon Jovi to be able to do more, considering that was right after they had their biggest album, which had Living on the Player on it. So I'm not surprised that that Doc kinda did all the bands dirty like that, considering it's Bon Jovi.
Yeah, at that time, yeah, he was.
So, and another thing they got wrong was how he mentioned that he managed Kiss. Now, this is Eddie Trunk said that Doc McGee did not start managing Kiss until the 1996 reunion tour.
Yeah.
So I think that they just put that in there as maybe like a foreshadowing to what Doc would end up later managing.
Yeah.
And the one scene that definitely kinda, I'm not gonna lie, it made me tear up a bit, was the whole thing with Vince's daughter.
Yeah.
A
lot of that was true. I guess it.
Mm-hmm. Daniel Weber did a fantastic job with the emotion and like how he was talking to the actress of Skylar. It was exactly like how a parent would try to describe something to their child.
Flowers.
Mm-hmm. And that scene definitely, because I knew that scene was in there because the trailer showed it. It showed Vince sitting down by a hospital bed, and I mean, I know that they had a premiere for this movie, and I want to know how Vince felt seeing that play out in front of him again. It must have cut him up again.
Yeah, he had a lot of drama with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Death.
And it's like the first part, like the first half of the movie was like full of like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Then like the later half dealt with the more darker, heavier stuff.
Yeah.
And
drug.
Mm-hmm. And of course the death of Razzle.
You like the guy laying on the couch that looked like Slash?
I saw people talking about that it's supposed to be Slash because during the night that Nikki Sixx overdosed, he was passed. Yeah,
with Slash.
yeah, and and Slash was passed out drunk. He was going through a anti-heroin phase at the time, and it was
supposedly Slash pulled him in the shower.
Mm-hmm. And then I believe he also called the hospital as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Slash saved Nikki Sixx's life, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Which to me, that is a very awesome Easter egg that they put, because Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue were kind of tied to the hip. They were similar. They were troublemakers.
Yeah, and they were both bad boys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when I found out about that people were talking about, I'm like, wait, a guy laying on the couch, and I rewatched the movie, and I looked, I'm like, holy crap, it is supposed to be Slash. Because I see the shades, I see the shaggy hair that he has, and then I see the dress style, and I'm like, holy crap. Which,
if they're referencing Guns N' Roses,
I know, right? Which again, you know, like I mentioned previously, Guns N' Roses is my favorite fucking band. I mean, hell, I love them so much. I fucking have the big ass Appetite for Destruction box set. That's how much I love them. Again, it was stuff like that because there has to be more Easter eggs in that movie that people aren't reporting on or something.
Could be. What do you think of the table? They say that.
Table. Oh, during when like Tom Zoo taught.
Yeah. People sit down there like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. When they had a little guest under the table, kind of giving them a fun time.
Yeah.
That.
I don't know if that's fact or fiction or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but it wouldn't be too far from the truth if like stuff did happen in that bar.
Yeah.
Which,
I didn't see anything about that reference or that, but
I mean, it wouldn't be too shocking.
Right.
Which, another thing they got wrong was how they got the rights back of their music. And Tom wasn't there at Elektra Records during that time. He left because I believe he started working at Geffen, I think, 85, 86. And, which, to me, they should have put more Guns N' Roses references in that movie, because Tom is the one that found the band, and he signed them to Geffen. So Tom was a link to both Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses. They should have had some more Guns N' Roses stuff in there. They could have shown the whole feud between Axl and Vince.
Yeah, they could have.
And which, guys, there are so much inaccuracies with this movie is that we could probably make a whole episode on them.
Yeah.
The
only part that I mean, like I said, I love the movie and everything. The only part that bothered me about the most was I feel like it got rushed. Like the movie got rushed through.
Mm-hmm. It definitely.
Like they didn't put enough. Like I said, Vince Neil. They didn't say any, made this Vince Neil sitting at the damn bar drinking all the time.
Yeah.
During when he left, but he was doing a solo career right after he left Motley Crue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. And how they did the whole like reunion scene with all of them, at the bar, and like when like Nikki mentions Skylar to Vince, and then Vince just um breaks down in tears. That's not how it happened. How the actual reunion happened was because of the record label, and the meeting between all four band members was so tense. They had their freaking managers with them. It was that bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that. It wasn't a touching reunion at all. I mean, like
Tommy left too. So.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, because him and Vince still had problems.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could have also maybe did something on like our favorite Motley Crue album of all time, Generation Swine. They could have done they could have referenced that in the movie too.
Yeah. And then it's I feel like focus mainly on Nikki Sixx the most.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he does probably have the most history of the band.
Yeah.
That and he is, I say, Motley Crue for the most part.
I do have to agree with you on that. Is that Nikki Sixx was definitely the leader, and the movie definitely makes that clear that Motley Crue is Nikki Sixx's band. It's his band.
I think so.
But
he did most of the writing.
Mm-hmm. And they should have, like, to me, like, the John Crobby Generation Shrine and the new Tattoo era was just completely, like, glazed over. It was like we only saw a snippet of the John Crobby era. We didn't see nothing of Generation Swan. We might have saw something. Actually, never mind. I think we might have saw something during the Generation Swine album at the end when, like, their manager says, tells them all that it's showtime. But I'm not sure if that's supposed to be referencing Generation Swine or if that's supposed to be referencing the final show they had.
Yeah, see, that's hard to say. Yeah,
because he looked like their current manager, so I'm thinking it has to be at their final show ever.
Yeah, it'd be. But they don't really let you know it.
No. So, like, this movie isn't perfect. Definitely not perfect. But there is...
entertaining?
Yeah. Yes. And there is a lot of heart that... You can tell that it's a movie for the fans. And all I gotta say to you guys is if you love Motley Crue, you bet you're gonna be... Trust me, because I was doing this. Every time a Motley song was played, I was headbanging, I was singing, They make you rock out. Let's just put it this way.
And they never even said anything about the drummer that got replaced with Tommy.
Yeah. Randy... I don't want to do this again, considering this was part of the problem during our first podcast.
Randy Castillo.
Yeah. You're definitely onto something. Randy Costello. There we go. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Which I'm just gonna go on and say that I think that new Tattoo is actually a pretty decent album. I Tommy Ain't There, but I do think it's a pretty decent album. It's a better album than Generation Swine.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when Vince got replaced, that album was even better than just one.
That album is a very good album. I think people should actually, to me, the two most overlooked albums in rock is Chinese Democracy by Guns N' Roses and the Motley Crue album with John Corabi. I think people should really check those albums out because they are really good. They are really good albums. It's just unfortunate that the Guns N' Roses side, people want it slashed, and it's like, it's not Guns N' Roses, it's an actual solo band, and then, like, you have the people, it's like, it's not Motley Crue without Vince or all four of them. Anyways, we're getting off subject again. We gotta...
The without Vince thing is not away from it, but...
Yeah, but, you know, there's always going to be those people that has to side with the singer only, because they think they are the band.
Yeah, well, I don't... But
I definitely don't agree with that at all. Like Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page is the band. But, you know, but overall, you know, I think as long as you all keep in mind that this movie isn't accurate to what actually happened, it is a really good movie. It is a very entertaining movie. It is a dirty movie. Oh, Lord, is it dirty. It's very dirty. It's raunchy. I mean, I think it beats any freaking 80s horror movie with, like, how raunchy it is.
Yeah.
And, but, I think, to me, I think they should have definitely made it longer. They should have, if they wanted to do it in two parts, like, maybe have one part be about the 80s and have the second part be about the 90s, I think I would have been fine with that if they just made it a two-parter thing.
Yeah.
And like, maybe if they wanted to, they could do a part 3 with, like, the 2000s. But I think that era wouldn't be as entertaining as, like, the 80s and the 90s era would be.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there was
when they were a lot bigger and that music was a lot more popular.
Mm-hmm. And, which, again, you know, like, the thing that amazes me about Motley Crue is that out of everyone, because unfortunately, yes, they are considered as a hair band, even though I don't think they are.
Yeah. There's labels.
And, their music holds up a lot better than most of those bands during that era.
Yeah. Agree with.
And I think this movie is a overall tribute to Motley Crue. I think that's a good way to sum it up. It's a tribute to them and what they've been through and what they've accomplished.
Yeah, and it's made record sales go up for them again.
Mm-hmm.
Movie.
Mm-hmm. Which, you know, if by any chance there's any like new Motley Crue fans that want to get into their music after seeing the movie, definitely stick with their compilations, and then if you're so into them, in my opinion, go pick up Too Fast for Love.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was my first album there.
That was well, technically my first album was Greatest Hits, but the first album, my first real album was Too Fast for Love. Oh, what a damn good album it still is.
Yeah, I like it. My favorite. And I'd say probably Dr. Feelgood's my second favorite.
I think, I love Dr. Feelgood, but I think my second favorite is Shout of the Devil.
Yeah. I just really, really, really liked Dr. Feelgood.
That album is good too. That's probably my third favorite.
Yeah. I I'd probably say my third would be Shout the Devil. And then Girls, Girls, Girls. I don't know about after that. All I know is the bottom would definitely.
Yeah, you would definitely be.
There was like one good song on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Afraid.
Yeah. Everything. I didn't even like the remake of the.
You know what's funny? That was the label's idea. That wasn't their idea. That was the label's idea.
Yeah, that was awful.
Agreed.
It was nothing like. They should have left it alone, and the song was good already.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, they remixed Home Sweet Home on their first compilation, the Decades to Decadence, but all they did was add a actual real piano to that. They left that song pretty much on check.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, this movie is, which I think that next weekend we'll probably do at least maybe half of the show be a part 2.
Okay.
Because there's definitely some other stuff I want to talk about, because and I think that you all would enjoy it, so and then probably after this we'll probably kind of get away from Motley Crue, because the first 3 episodes is nothing about Motley Crue, but it's understandable that right now it's kind of a good time to be a Motley Crue fan.
Woo-hoo. As I am.
I mean,
and Ben forever.
Yeah, I mean, like, this dude, my co-host, has seen Motley Crue how many times?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 times. Me, I've only seen them once, and I regret only seeing them once. That is why, like I said previously, that's why I want to see Slayer again, so this way, if I don't see them again, I mean, if I don't see them again, I'm going to regret it later on, like I'm doing now with Motley Crue.
Yeah.
And Motley Crue is a band that I think definitely deserves all the praise they get. And it's a shame that Mick Mars and Tommy Lee are so underrated.
Yeah. Mick Mars knows how to fill all the noise in.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, too, in the movie that I definitely enjoyed was I definitely, like I said, I enjoyed the whole like what we said, you know, the first gig part was very inaccurate, but I love where like you freaking have Douglas Booth as Nick is going like, really, at our fucking first show, and then and then you have Machine Gun Kelly coming in there, they're going, fuck yeah, man, it's happening, let's go kick some fucking ass.
Until the cymbals start falling down.
Yeah. And anyways, I think that's all we have on the dirt for this episode, but I do want to get into at least a couple topics about video games, because there has been some good ones coming out. Let me go ahead and send my co-host some articles here.
And I expanded my gaming experience.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're getting a. Oh yeah, this dude over here is getting a Xbox One. which
to expand my playing so I can have a little more gaming experience and talk about.
mm-hmm. I'm telling you, one of the first games you have to get is the Halo Master Chief Collection. You can't have an Xbox without Halo. I'm sorry. Oh wait, no, I'm not.
There are some of those on Game Pass right now. Halo 5's on there, and I think 2.
Okay.
So what's going to be talked about next?
Well, we're gonna
Any good
cover
teaser?
we're gonna cover two gaming topics that I think will be pretty fast to get through.
Okay.
That we will have our own opinions about. The first thing I want to talk about is remember that rumor about a quote unquote Castlevania anniversary collection?
Yeah.
It's fucking happening.
So what are they putting it?
Okay. Okay. Well, along with Castlevania, they're also having one for Contra and their arcade stuff. So.
Huh. That'd be a good subject. Oh.
Oh yeah. So pretty much on the arcade one, they're gonna have Haunted Castle, which is ironically enough, that is the arcade version of Castlevania.
Huh.
Um,
I probably played it when I'm like,
and then Typhoon, Nemesis, which is Gradius, Vulcan Venture, which is Gradius 2, Life Force, Thundercross, Scramble, and Twinbee. So that's on the arcade collection.
it's gonna be an all.
Yep, all platforms. And then the Castlevania one has the first Castlevania, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, a Game Boy title, which is Castlevania 2, Balmos Revenge, and Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. And then they're going to announce 4 others. And I can already tell you 2 that they're going to announce, because it's a dead giveaway. Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
You know for a fact that those are going to be on there. The other 2 is definitely a toss-up. What shocks me the most about the Castlevania one is that there's no Castlevania 2, but Castlevania 2 Simon's Crest, but I'm not surprised since that's definitely the weakest link out of the first 3 Castlevania games.
Yeah.
And I better get into the release date here. The arcade one will be on April 18th. So, and I want to apologize for any background noises, you guys. My dogs are outside right now. And actually, this will be coming out in 2 weeks for $20. So you're getting 8 games for $20, which is actually a bargain if you think about it.
Yeah.
And then the Castlevania one will be coming out early summer. So I think sometime in May or maybe June, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a Contra one. It will have Contra 1, Super Contra, Contra Super C, and Contra 3, the Alien Wars, and then 4 other Contra games. And this will be coming out. Oh, actually, that will also be out early summer.
Yeah.
So, I am looking forward to this. Especially the Castlevania one.
Yeah, me too.
Castlevania is fucking awesome. So, I mean, we will definitely cover this more when they announce more games for the Castlevania one and the Contra one. And, yeah. So, our last topic for this week is we're getting a Sega Genesis Mini.
How you feel about that?
Well, what people are saying, it is going to be, it is being made by Sega themselves. So, it's not being made by any outsider, developers, because when they first announced this, it was going to be made by, At Games. But At Games is notorious for making bad Sega Genesis mini consoles.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were kind of unhappy by the decision, but Sega must have not have liked what they saw, so they decided to just do it themselves. This is what it says on Kotaku. Sega will release its Sega Genesis Mini worldwide on September 19th. It said today it will include 40 games, including Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, Gunstar Heroes, and Castlevania Bloodlines. Sega made the announcement on stage at Sega Fest 2019, its annual fan event in Tokyo. There, it announced games for the Japanese Mega Drive Mini, including Sonic 2, Pyro 2, Shining Force, Castlevania Bloodlines, Powerball, Gunstar Heroes, Comic Zone, Rent a Hero, Space Harrier 2, and I'm not gonna try saying this name, but I'm not gonna try because I suck at saying weird names, especially if a name is in a different language. So, and they're speculating that since a few of these games are Japanese only, it stood to reason that the U.S. and European lineups will be different. So, they did, later, Sega did announce the following games for the US version: Ultra Beast, Castlevania Bloodlines, Comic Zone, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Echo the Dolphin, Gunstar Heroes, Shining Force, Sonic the Hedgehog, Space Harrier 2, and Toe Jam and Earl. In a separate presentation at Sega Fest, Sega said that M2, the developer behind Sega Ages, is creating the software for the device. It also said that the system will include different regional variations of some games. For example, the Mega Drive Mini in Japan will include the US, European, and Japanese versions. Castlevania Bloodlines. It didn't say if the overseas versions of the device would similarly contain different regional variations, but it seems likely. While Sega was not in detail about the Mega Drive Mini in its stage presentation, it did say the 6-button controller would be the same size as the original, and that the games would have a save anywhere function. The menu music for the device was composed by the legendary Sheets Erase composer Yuzo Koshiro, which they put as totally wild. While the Japanese version will include 6-button controllers, the US version will ship with 2 3-button Genesis controllers that connect to the Mini via USB. Original Genesis controllers won't connect, which that's been my problem with these mini consoles. I wish they would make a adapter to where you can play the controller that comes with the Mini on the actual console that the Mini is based on. I feel like people would enjoy it.
Yes, Nintendo didn't do that either.
No, I feel like people would enjoy it because this way too, I can play my actual Super Nintendo with a controller that might not have buttons chewed out because when I was a kid I wasn't very nice to my stuff.
Most kids aren't good with their stuff.
No. In Japan, at least, it will be sold in 2 variations with one controller for 6,980 yen, about $60, and with 2 controllers for 8,980 yen, about $80. The US version will cost $80. Sega first announced the Mega Drive Mini at last year's Sega Fest, and it was originally supposed to be released in 2018, only in Japan, and based on the same at-game developed technology that powered the US exclusive Genesis Flashback HD. Later, it delayed the unit into 2019, saying that in order to achieve high level of quality, it would drop at-games, develop the software for the system in Japan, and release the unit worldwide, given the generate negative critical reception to the Flashback HD, especially compared to Nintendo's mini classic systems. Sega seems like it's aiming to salvage its brand reputation in the classic console market. So, based on that, it seems like Sega is learning of what to do from Nintendo for their main console, unlike a certain PlayStation Classic that was, oh my lord, if
a piece of shit.
Yeah, which we covered that in our previous episode. So listen to that if you want to listen to us rip it to shreds. So I'm definitely interested in this thing because I actually bought my own Sega Genesis the year before last year, and I absolutely love the system. I mean, again, I'm a Sonic fan. Sonic's my favorite video game franchise, so obviously I like Sega. And the crazier thing about this is that this is the first kind of console that Sega has made since the Dreamcast in a way. If you think about it. I mean, like, it's a mini console, but they still are making their own system, which they haven't done in years. So, anyways, that pretty much covered it for today's episode of the Metal Gamer Podcast. I hope you all enjoy it, and we will see you again next week. Same place as always. You guys can find our podcast on Spotify and iTunes now. We're gonna try and expand it to some other medias in the near future. So I've been your host, Ian Allen,
and I'm co-host Jason Jacob.
And have a kick-ass week.